Hello and welcome back to XPlane 11 with me, James. Today we are flying from Hamburg to Manchester in this Boeing 737. This is Zibo's version of the 737, and if we take a look inside, everything looks pretty much the same as the default aircraft, but a lot of work has been done to the systems in the background. So now we have fully functioning IRSs, we have a completely custom FMC, and a few more procedures to go through. This plane is also compatible with XChecklist, so I have installed the XChecklist plugin, and this is what we are going to be following. So I'm going to start off with the preliminary pre-flight procedure and run through this. Normally you'd have a co-pilot that sort of checks things off for you, but I've turned him off because he gets quite annoying and he's quite slow. So yeah, I'm going to start working my way through this. So we'll set the parking brake, landing lever gear is down, speed brake is down, flaps are up, and the gear door is closed. We then need to turn the battery on, like so. The standby power switch, the generator drives are closed, the bus transfer is closed, and ground power comes on. We then turn the IRSs to align, like so. We then want the emergency lights closed, service interphone off, and EEC switches are on, guard closed, that's fine, that's closed. The landing gear lights are illuminated. And then I'm going to go ahead and do these warning tests, and I'll bring you guys back when they're done. Okay, so they tested successfully. Now we move on to the FMC sort of stuff. So if we head over, we can verify our units, that's fine. We then need to look at our chocks. So if we go one back from there even. Extras, others, chocks need to be on. Good. We then need to verify that the model is correct, it is, and the database is fine. Time is correct. So now we need to set our IRS position. So it's remembered the last position that we were at in terms of the GPS coordinates for some reason. Doesn't normally do that, I don't know why. Let's clear this out completely. And we'll put in the airport, which is Echo Delta Delta Hotel. And then the gate we are at, if we come up here and turn this little thing, it tells us 012 is our gate number. So we can punch that in, and then that should start aligning the IRSs for us. We then need our route page. Now I've actually got a company route set up for this. So if I just punch that in here, there we go, that fills in our destination and shows us the route. That's done. We then need to enter the flight number, which is going to be EZW 5672. Chuck that in the flight number. The reason why we are flying Eurowings today, which is the livery I've got on, is because I actually undertook this flight about 2 weeks ago. Me and a colleague were out in Germany doing some training, and yeah, this is the journey that we took back. So I figured, why not fly it in the simulator? Tick that off. We then need to enter and activate the route. So we'll hit activate and execute. We then need to select the departing runway, which should be done. No, it isn't. That's fine. So we are going to depart from runway 33, and we're going to use the WSN 2G departure. So we'll execute that one. It's done, and then verify the route and check for any discontinuities. All fine, there are no discontinuities there. Tick that. We then need to go into the performance and enter our zero fuel weight, or let it calculate it for us. Enter our fuel reserves, which are 3.2. There we go. Our cost index will be 2.5. And then our cruise altitude is going to be flight level 320. And so our cruise wind is 294 at 124. So we've got a very, very strong wind. So this is going to be quite a long flight, considering it's quite a short distance. We then need to enter the outside air temperature, which is 3 Celsius. 3C. Chuck that in here. Verify the trans altitude, 5,000 is fine. And then we need to check that our fuel is sufficient. I need to change that around a little bit so that we've got more fuel in the center tank. I'm not sure why it's done this. Let me go fix that quickly. There we go, that's better. Every time I reload this aircraft, it seems to take all of the fuel out of the center tank and put it into the wing tanks. Don't quite know why. But we can verify that. We then need to verify our speed and altitude restrictions. I've done that already. We then need to do our N1 limit. So outside air temperature again is 3 Celsius. We'll do a full power takeoff. Oh, no, that's not the correct way to do that. We need a / and then 3. There we go. So then that puts our N1 limit at 96.1, which is fine. And then we are selecting a full rate climb. We then need to go to the takeoff page. We want flaps 15 for takeoff, which then gives our V speeds. So we will copy all those across. We then pop in our center of gravity, and of course that recalculates everything. Verify that a trim value is shown. It is 3.69, and select the takeoff speeds. So we are now through everything, or every single checklist that we need to do until the IRSs. So I need to wait for those to align. So I will bring you guys back as soon as they are done. So I'm sure many of you will have noticed this mistake that I made earlier, but I've been waiting here for a while and the IRSs still haven't aligned. Basically, I set these to align rather than nav. So now that they're in nav mode, it's asking for the IRS position. So we can come up here and grab the GPS position and chuck that in. So now that should go ahead and find out where we are. There we go. So the IRSs are now aligned, so we can check that off. We then need to turn the yaw damper on. And then ensure that the alternate flaps are off, which they are. Then go ahead and sort out all of the transfer switches. Give me 2 seconds, I'll run through these. That's that done. So then we need the cross feed selector closed, which it is, and fuel pumps off, which they are. We now need to test the fire systems. So let's test the fault in op. There we go. So we get our warning lights. Prepare for a loud noise. There we go. So that's working fine. We then need the extinguisher test. Good. And good. We then need the overhead panel. Turn the cabin utilities on. And the passenger seat in-flight entertainment systems. We then need to fire up the APU. So hold this for 3 seconds. Like so. And then we need to wait for this to spin up. There we are. Let's flick the generators on. We can then disconnect the ground power. The equipment cooling switches need to be on normal, which they are. Emergency lights exit switch, we did that earlier. Seatbelt signs need to be on auto. Put the no smoking sign on as well. Windshield wipers are on park. The window heat power test is fine, and so is the overheat test. We then turn the switches on and get the probe heats on. The wing anti-ice needs to be off, which it is, and so are the engine anti-ices. So we need the engine hydraulic pumps on and the electric hydraulic pumps off, as they are. Good. We then need the air temperature selector. That's fine. We'll have the trim air switch on. We then need the temperature selectors. They'll be fine on auto. Recirc fans on auto, which they are. The isolation valve switch needs to be open. Engine bleed switch is on, and the APU bleed is already on. We then need the flight altitude indicator set to 32,000. And the landing altitude is fine at 0. Pressurization selector is on auto. Landing lights are retracted and off. The runway turn-off lights are off and taxi lights are off. We then need the ignition. We'll just leave it on both. Engine start switches are both on auto. And the collision light is off. And then all the other lights are as needed, which are fine off, seeing as it's daytime. I'm going to work through this one and bring you guys back when it's done. Right, there we have it. We've run through the next two flight checklists. We now got the ATC on standby. Let's do that. Yeah, it is. That's fine. Not adjust the trim. We then need our CDU displays all set. They're all fine. Auto throttle we need to arm. And then we need to set this to our V2 speed, which if we come back, and our V2 speed is 133. Like so. We then got our initial heading will be 330. And the initial altitude will be 4,000. Takeoff and taxi briefings, that's fine. And then we need to obtain our start clearance. So first things first, we need to remove our chocks. So if we come back to the menu, extras, other chocks, because we're going to get pushed back. I'm not going to be using the air traffic control for this. I tried recording this video last night with the air traffic control enabled, and it completely screwed up. And yeah, it was just really, really bad. So let's get our start clearance, which, like I said, we're not using ATC, so I guess we're cleared to go. Let's bring in the ground handling, release the brakes, and we will get a left pushback. Do that. We've then got our fuel pumps. So left and right, and if we have over 1,000 pounds in the center tank, turn the center ones on as well. We do. We then need our electric hydraulic pumps turned on as well. We need our anti-collision light on. Stabilizer trim is 3.69. There we go. And aileron and rudder are fine. Chocks are off. Transponder we will turn on with TCAS as well. Air conditioning packs need to be turned off. We then set engine 1 start switch to ground. And then wait for the N2 to reach 25. There it is, 25. We'll introduce some fuel. The tug is finished, so we will put the parking brake back on. And engine 1 is firing up nicely. Start valve is closed and the engine has stabilized. We'll do the same for engine 2. And there we go. Engine number 2 has a good start as well. System A electric hydraulic pump is on anyway. We then need the engine generators on. Probe heats are already on. Anti-ices as required. Air conditioning set back to auto. The isolation switch is on auto. Same with the pressurization selector. APU bleed comes off. And APU switch comes off. Engine start switches go into continuous. Flaps set for takeoff. 15 degrees there. Trims are already set for takeoff. Flight controls, let's do a full test. Good. Right. Left. And rudder. Good. Taxi light comes on. Parking brake gets released, and then once we start moving, we need to test our brakes. Brakes are good. Speed bugs are good. We then need our taxi lights off, so this is when we get to the runway. So this is runway 33, it's what we've got programmed. We're going to pause here at the hold short line and get everything ready for takeoff. There's no one on the approach, so we are fine. Okay, taxi light comes off. The fixed landing lights come on. The position light goes to strobe and steady. TCAS is already on. Weather radar comes on. Heading bug is runway heading, it already is, and both flight directors are on. Right then, so we are ready for takeoff. So let's roll out onto the runway, check final one more time, we are all good. Just check everything's ready to go, everything is configured. Let's go over to our progress screen.
Approaching 3-3.
It's our runway advisory system. The weather does appear to be closing in here. It wasn't this bad when I first started.
On runway 3-3.
Right, we are ready to go. Set takeoff power. Let's rotate. And we got a positive rate of climb, so let's go gear up. And reduce power slightly. And then I'm going to gauge the speed, the LNAV, and the vertical speed, and give the aircraft full control. When it will let me. There we go. Forgot to engage my flight director. Cool, so now the aircraft is going to continue its climb on its own. Everything seems fine. We're going to get our flaps away. And set the gear position to off. So we're going to continue on at 4,000 feet for a little bit until we get past the next waypoint, and then we're going to climb up to our cruise altitude. There we are. Right, let's get everything set up for the climb to cruise. So on 32,000 feet. And we're going to do a level change to get there. But first I want to accelerate us up to about 250 knots. Okay, there's 250. Let's go for a level change. That's now going to try and keep us at 250 knots and climb as quickly as it can up to 32,000 feet. So I'm going to crack on with climb. It's going to take a few minutes, so I will show you some shots of the aircraft and the takeoff, and then we will be right back. So there's 10,000 feet, we've got our power adjusted, altimeters are set to standard, we then need to turn our landing lights off, our position light goes to steady, and above the weather, which we are, our engine start switches go to auto. Right, so we just reached our cruising altitude, so I'm going to increase our speed up to cruise speed, which for this flight is going to be 300 knots. Like so. We are also going to release the fasten seatbelt signs, turn them off, so that people can get up, go to the toilet, do whatever they need to do. And I'd also like to just do a bit of an update on the channel and how things are going. So I previously mentioned that I took this very flight on a Eurowings trip. We were supposed to do it with BA, but because we had a little tiny sprinkling of snow, BA cancelled 30% of their flights, and one of them was mine. So I ended up driving 3 hours to Manchester Airport from my home with a colleague, and then, yeah, we got on a Eurowings flight and went over, did some training, and then came back on this very flight. It was a little bit later in the day, so we did a landing at night. I didn't really fancy a night landing in this, so I just chose to make it a little bit earlier. On that flight, however, I did meet the UK PR manager for Razor, which was quite cool. He's really nice. I've had a quick chat to him before we got on the plane, and then a chat when we landed again. And yeah, he's a really nice guy. We took a picture. I ended up snagging a pair of headphones off of him, which was really nice. I didn't have to do that at all. He saw that I had the limited edition Razor phone and gave me some headphones. Yeah, it was really nice of him. But as for my channel, I know I've been sort of lackadaisical with posting videos this year, basically. I aim to change that in 2018. I really want to get at least one video per week out. It won't necessarily be on XPlane, so I know like 99% of my subscribers here are because of my XPlane content. But I am going to try branching out and trying a few different things here and there. We'll see how they do. But yeah, like I said, I'm aiming for 1 video a week minimum, so you might get more than one. I'm aiming for every Sunday, because I think that's going to be the best day for me logistically to get a video out. We should have a brand new video. I'm definitely going to keep XPlane, because it's essentially the foundation of my channel at this point. And it is really fun. I'm really loving it. I want to move down and do some stuff not based in the UK, so we'll move to some other continents and try some other locations out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think it'll just be the usual, leave you with some beauty shots, and I will see you on our approach to Manchester. Right, so we are now just about over the UK, so it is time to leave our cruise altitude and start descending to flight level 240. We're going to come down at 2,000 feet per minute, like so, and we are now just beginning a right turn onto Goals, and then that will begin our approach into Manchester Airport. I think what we're going to be doing is a 2-3 right ILS landing. So once we get a bit closer, we will grab the ATIS, and we've also already got the ILS frequency programmed into the nav computer. So we should pick that up nice and easy. We should have the seatbelt signs on. We're probably on already. That's fine. I think everything else is good and groovy. Yeah, maybe. All seems fine. Right, so I just checked the star, and it turns out actually at Goals we need to be at flight level 170. So we're just reaching that altitude now, and I've dropped our speed down to 280 knots. We should now be in range of the ATIS, so let's go ahead and grab that quickly.
Manchester International Information Tango. 1400 Zulu weather. Wind 230 at 9. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 4,500 few. Temperature 8, dew point 4. Altimeter 2941. Advise on initial contact, you have Tango.
Right, so there we go. So we have information Tango. Should be a nice, easy landing. We could probably do a visual, but we'll continue on using the ILS because it's just nice and easy. Right, we've now gone past Goals, and we are now on our way to Pol, which is Pole Hill. When we get to Rosen, we can't go past 230 knots. That's fine. There's no other altitude restrictions. But I think by the time we get down to Pol, I want to be below 10,000 feet at the very least. Right, so we are now just descending through 10,000 feet, and we've just got a master caution light come on for our fuel. Now that is because the fuel level in our center tank is running low, so we're just going to switch off the center pumps. That clears the caution, and we're now going to start draining the wing tanks, which is fine because we've got absolutely loads of fuel left in there. We need to get our landing lights turned on, and we also need to get our strobe back on, seeing as we're now through 10,000 feet. We've got quite a bit of turbulence down here, but there is quite a few nice little hills and towns and whatnot to look at. So we're going to crack on with that, and I will see you on the approach. Right, so we are on course to intercept the localizer. We got in some major turbulence, which is changing our speed rather rapidly, but we should be okay. The airport's off over to our right. Let's get our speed brakes armed. We'll get our anti-skid on medium, like so. So we want speed brake armed. I'll need to do the flaps first, that's fine. We will get to there in just a second. Yeah, this plane is being absolutely thrown around. I'm going to drop down to speed 180. The maximum is 185 for this approach. I'm hoping when we turn into the wind at this next waypoint we should be good. Okay, let's check our speed ratings. So we are well below 210, so we can get 10 degree of flap. And we can actually get 15 degrees as well. The gear extension speed is 270 knots. So we're well below that. Okay, hopefully we'll start to see our ILS come in. There we go, so our glide slope, oh sorry, our ILS has started responding now, so we can hit the approach button. That is now going to turn us onto the ILS, and we've also got the glide slope as well, so as soon as we get to the correct altitude, it will capture the glide slope. Let's begin our descent then. So we want a speed of 160 we'll drop down to. We'll get 25 degrees of flaps. We'll get our gear down. Tick off our checklist. Flaps aren't quite in landing yet, but they will be. Can see the runway lights just out there, I think. Yeah, just over here in the distance. There they are. You can just about spot them. You probably can't see them in the YouTube video, but they are out there. It is rather foggy. So, I believe we can go full flaps at this speed. We can indeed. Let's get one more notch just for now. Check everything is set. Anti-collision. We'll get the wing well lights on. We're in continuous mode. That's fine. We don't need the additional landing lights really. Everything seems fine. So if we have to go around, we do so at 357 degrees. So let's get that set in here. So 357, and then we climb to 3,500. Approach VREF, that's fine. Don't need that. Let's go full flaps and reduce the speed to 150. We just come within 5 miles, so let's reduce it to 140.
Approaching 23 right.
Approaching the correct runway, which is what we want. Let's disengage the autopilot and disengage the auto throttle, and then we're going to come in for a landing. There's our decision altitude, we are good to go. We got something happening over on the left-hand side of the airport. Some flashing lights going off. Let's try and focus on the landing, please. We're slightly off to the right. Try and recover that. Not drift too far left. Let's go power to idle and bring in the flare. And apparently that was an acceptable landing. We'll get our thrust reversers activated. Try and make this taxiway here. There we go. Bring the thrust reversers off. Like so, and let's get the aircraft cleaned up. So, lights off, taxi lights on, flaps away, speed brakes away. And anti-skid off. All good. Let's hold here and go over to one of the gates. Right, so on our way over, we will do the after landing procedure. So speed brakes are down, we've done that. APU start. 1, 2, 3. Good. Probe heat switches come off. That's the window heat. There's the probe heat. Check we're still going straight. We are. Landing lights are off. Position lights go to steady. Taxi lights are on. Engine start switches go to auto. Auto brake is off. Flaps are retracted. Transponder goes to standby. And weather radar comes off. Good to go. And now we've just got the shutdown procedure to do. And we are done. Okay, here we are at gate 25. So we will set the parking brake. APU generators go on. Engine start levers go to cut off. Seatbelt signs can come off. Anti-collision lights come off. Take these off. Fuel pumps left can come off. Fuel pumps right can come off. And fuel pump center are already off. We will turn off the cabin utilities power and the IFE power. Wing anti-ice is off. Engine anti-ice is off anyway. The electronic hydraulic pumps come off. And the yaw damper comes off. Recirc fan comes off. Air conditioning set to auto it is. Isolation switch set to open. Engine bleed switches are on. APU bleed to come on. Taxi light comes off. Position lights come off. Flight directors off. And APU off. Emergency lights can come off. Window heat left and right can come off. Air conditioning packs turn off. APU generators come off. Standby power, you guessed it, it's off. If I can get the right button. There we go. And then the battery comes off. Like so. Okay, so there we go. We are fully shut down. So we've turned the battery off. Now, the end of checklist, we have to say thank you to Zibo for a beautiful modification. And yeah, of course, we have to do that. This plane is absolutely fantastic, even if we are looking at the wrong direction. It looks amazing. The inside is great. The systems are awesome. And I have parked quite a long way back from where I needed to be. Never mind. But yeah, I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Zibo for this amazing free mod. If you've got XPlane and you want to give it a go, just go ahead and download it. It's really easy to do. It is really fantastic. I hope for good things in 2018. So if you have enjoyed watching, please subscribe. There should be lots more coming. Please like the video if you've enjoyed it. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.